President Trump is back in office and he's already shaking up markets because he signed a record 26 executive orders just on day one. Some of the changes that he made include declaring a national energy emergency so we can drill more oil, mandating that all federal employees can no longer work from home, that you have to work in the office, and canceling the EV subsidies. But the real cherry on top here has to do with the Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, because their official government website is now live. And the only thing on the website was a picture of the Doge meme coin dog. That obviously helped the Doge meme coin jump up by around 10% at one point yesterday. But the stock market didn't do too bad either because the Dow Jones was up by more than 500 points. Now, what I want you to do is understand what's happening, understand some of the changes that might be coming. That way you can make better decisions with your money as an investor. So let's jump right in. More specifically, I want to talk about three things. I want to talk about tariffs, I want to talk about energy, and I want to talk about the end of remote work. And just so you know, all the executive orders and actions that are referenced in this video are linked for you down in the description if you want to read them further. Starting with tariffs, President Trump passed a presidential action titled America First Trade Policy, which essentially did two things. Number one is he is now threatening tariffs on other countries, especially Mexico and Canada. What he's saying is that if Mexico and Canada do not get their drug problems and illegal immigration problems into the United States under control, that Trump is going to pass a 25% tariff on these countries starting February 1. In addition to that, Trump also created the External Revenue Service, ERS. We all know what the IRS is. That's the person, the entity that collects your taxes. Here's what it says about the ERS. Quote, we are implementing an External Revenue Service, ERS, to collect tariffs, duties, and other foreign trade-related revenues. So if the tariffs are passed, it's going to be the External Revenue Service that's going to make sure that they get paid. Now, tariffs are an interesting point because we all know that Trump was really campaigning hard on tariffs. When he was campaigning, he said that he would impose a 25% tariff on goods from Mexico and Canada and potentially a 60% tariff on goods from China. But interestingly, we didn't really see any solid tariffs on China. Instead, what we saw is that the tariffs on China are more of a negotiating point to get TikTok into the United States. We all know what's been going on with TikTok, where TikTok got banned for a little bit, then it got reinstated. Well, this is where Trump is using the tariffs as a negotiating point to bring TikTok to the United States. Here's what Trump said from himself, quote, if we wanted to make a deal with TikTok and it would be a good deal, then I think ultimately China would approve. Because if not, we would put tariffs on China. He goes on to say that if no deal is reached, meaning if no TikTok deal is reached with the United States, then that's a certain hostility, and we will put tariffs of 25, 30, 50, or even 100% on China. So if China does not give TikTok to the United States, you can expect more tariffs coming on China. So you can start to see the bargaining power that he's using the tariffs for. Now, we've been covering all of this in Market Briefs. Market Briefs is my free financial newsletter where every day my team is breaking down what's happening in things like the economy, the stock market, the housing market, the crypto market, and the global economy to a fun, witty, and easy to read email. We have hundreds of thousands of investors that are reading Market Briefs every morning. So if you want to join Market Briefs, all you got to do for free is click the link down in the description below. Now, moving on to what he said about number two, energy, because Trump passed an order called Unleashing American Energy. And here's what he said directly from the order, because this is a national emergency. Quote, high energy costs devastate American consumers by driving up the cost of transportation, heating, utilities, farming, and manufacturing, while weakening our national security. It is thus in the national interest to unleash America's affordable and reliable energy and natural resources. This will restore American prosperity. So what he's saying is we have high energy costs here in the United States. These high energy costs are making it expensive for people to afford their lives. It makes groceries more expensive because transportation and manufacturing is more expensive. And because of that, it creates a national security issue because it's weakening our economy, and thus we need to baby drill, essentially use more of our natural resources to extract energy like oil. It goes on to say this, that this order is to encourage energy exploration and production on federal lands and waters, meaning drilling oil on federal land and federal water in the United States. But the other part of this, which is also very interesting, is Section E, which says that this order wants to eliminate the electric vehicle EV mandate and promote true consumer choice, which is essential for economic growth and innovation. Let me explain what that means, because in 2021, when President Joe Biden entered office, he passed an executive order which said that by the year 2030, all new cars sold in America, or 50% of all new cars sold in America, should be electric vehicles. This is what Trump is essentially saying, well, not anymore. That has been canceled. So we'll see where that goes. Some Tesla shareholders were obviously not happy because Tesla is an electric vehicle company. So we'll see where we go with electric vehicles, which brings me to number 3, remote work. And again, this is specifically for federal employees. And President Trump passed a mandate titled Return to In-Person Work. And here's what it said. Heads of all departments and agencies in the executive branch of government shall, as soon as practicable, take all necessary steps to terminate remote work arrangements and require employees to return to work in person at the respective duty stations on a full-time basis. Again, this is for federal employees, the whole idea being that maybe this is a way to weed some people out, that people are getting salaries from the government who might not actually be working or kind of doing it as a part-time job. And if you don't want to actually do the job, then this is an easy way to weed you out, because now you got to come back into the office. We've seen a lot of companies do the same thing, that as they want to push for more productivity, they want to weed out the fat, they say, come back into the office. And the people that don't actually want to do the work, or they don't want to work for the company, or they don't want to make that commute, well, they can see themselves out and you don't have to pay them a severance. Now, what does all this mean? Well, all of these executive orders create changes. And what you want to do as an investor is understand how these things can create an opportunity for you. But it depends on your strategy. Because if you are an investor that is just passively investing your money into the economy, you don't got to worry about any of this. You don't got to worry about who's in the White House. You got to worry about what the executive orders are. You don't got to worry about what's happening in the stock market today. What you keep doing is ABB, always be buying. So if you're just investing your money into the United States economy, maybe you're investing your money into the S&P 500, into the total stock market, into the Dow Jones, none of this stuff matters. Don't get caught up into the noise, because you're going to see things go up, you're going to see things go down, you're going to see people panic, you're going to see people get emotional, because anytime you see a new president, it creates new emotion. Some people like the president, some people hate the president. So you bet that there's going to be emotion. You bet that there's going to be headlines, and you bet that that's going to drive markets up and down. But if you're just passively investing your money, none of this matters. Ignore the noise, just keep investing, stick with your strategy. Now, for those of you that understand the risk of being a little bit more involved with your investments, they understand the risk of looking for more niche opportunities, this can also create opportunities. And that's what you want to pay attention to, because the reality is the largest spender in our economy is the government. And what you want to do as a smart investor is look for where the money is moving, not where the money has been. And so now, if our economy is about $29 trillion large, that's what it was in 2024. It's probably going to be a little bit larger in 2025. The largest spender in our economy is the United States government, which means trillions of dollars of spending are allocated or determined by the United States government. Well, Trump is going to change where some of that spending happens. For example, we could see more investments into oil. We could see more investments into space. We could see more investments into policing, borders, immigration policies. We could see more policies and money move into these areas. All these things can create an investment opportunity. Now, there's a lot of different companies that have made multiple videos talking about this that are involved in here. But I want you to also understand that just because there's a shift, just because money is moving into one area, let's talk about oil, because we all know that a lot of oil companies are going to see the ability to potentially drill more oil. That could mean more opportunity, more ability to make more money. Does that mean that every oil company is going to boom? No, because some oil companies might not be able to take advantage of some of the things that are going on. Some of the oil companies might be very badly managed. They might be very bad with their cash. They might run their companies into the ground. Certain oil companies might not get the same subsidies or grants from the government as others. This is where your own research and analysis has to come in. I want you to understand how investors think by understanding what's happening. And when you understand what's happening, you can start looking for opportunities. But then you also have to do your own digging to understand what's going on and what it is that you're investing in. Because anytime you start to invest into more of these niche opportunities, you start to take on more risk. Of course, you can see more upside. That's the whole reason. More risk, more potential return. But you have to understand that you want to be still putting in your work. For example, let's talk about remote work ending for a second. If we start to see thousands of more employees go into the office in DC, what does that mean? Well, a lot of those offices are probably going to be government owned. So it probably won't affect the real estate values too much. Now, unless these are employees going into privately owned buildings, that could increase the value of those privately owned buildings. But you also want to think a little bit bigger now. There's a lot of private toll roads around the Metro DC area. If more people are commuting into the city, that could benefit those toll roads. The restaurants and other local businesses around there, they could potentially see more foot traffic. That could help those businesses. It could help other related businesses if people have to go into the office, and that's the way you want to think as an investor. As these changes are coming, because we're going to see changes, we're going to see more changes every day. As these changes are happening, you want to think about where the opportunity is and how they can create an investment opportunity for you. Because again, as an investor, what you want to do is understand where the money is going. That way you can put some of your money there and hopefully get some of the upside. But that requires you to, number one, know your strategy. Do you want to just passively invest your money into the markets, or do you want to find more niche opportunities? If you want to find more niche opportunities, now you have to study these market shifts. As you study these market shifts, then you want to dig a little bit deeper after you find a good shift. Once you find a good shift, that's when you want to start studying the individual companies. You want to start studying the individual investments, do the analysis, and then you want to take action. But just understand the risk. Investing has risks. You are never guaranteed to make money when you invest. In fact, you will lose money at some point, which is why you want to always do your own due diligence and never blindly trust a random guy on YouTube. My goal is to help you understand what's happening. That way you can make better decisions with your money, because there's a lot of headlines out there, a lot of emotion out there. You're going to see a lot of movement in the markets, up and down, because Trump has been campaigning hard on the economy and markets. So you bet that there's going to be a lot of people on Wall Street watching every move that Trump does, which ultimately just creates more emotion. But I want you to be a financially savvy investor, not get caught up in the emotion, and be able to find the opportunity. That's what every financially savvy investor does. And that means, number one, you got to be able to separate the emotion from logic. Then you got to understand how to use your money so you have money to invest. Then you have to find the right opportunity for you depending on your goals. And with that, I hope you get a better understanding of what's going on in the markets right now. And I will see you on YouTube tomorrow.